So these marginalized folks who are on the front lines of the climate crisis, we call frontline communities, and they are central to the climate justice movement. The idea is that those who are at the forefront of a problem have the most intimate relationship with the problem and have important insights into how to solve that problem. So centering the front lines is a key tenet of climate justice. And it means making sure that those most impacted by the climate crisis are deeply involved in the solution to address it. So there's this phrase, nothing about us without us. And it means that if your campaign is going to affect a group of people, then you had better make sure that those people are involved in your campaign. And not just giving them a seat at the table, but that those most impacted need to lead or co-lead in building that table in the first place. And there's a rich history of white conservation movements doing precisely the opposite of that. So the environmental movement grew out of the conservation movement, which in the 1900s was all about pristine wilderness that was untrammeled by humans. That's where national parks came from, and in the process kicking thousands of indigenous people off their ancestral lands that they'd been actively managing for millennia, which is why they were so beautiful and pristine in the first place. And that's Teddy Roosevelt and John Muir in the picture here. A more recent example might be the rollout of cap and trade legislation across the world. This is a policy that like many frontline communities objected to, but a lot of environmental groups pushed for anyway, with the end result being questionable in terms of whether it actually brought emissions down, but definite in the creation of more sacrifice zones with more frontline communities getting even more hurt. So within frontline communities, there's a rich history of activism. The environmental justice movement was born from BIPOC communities resisting projects that were polluting their air, their water, their soil. But what grew out of this movement wasn't just campaigns to get polluters to clean up their mess or to emit less carbon. These were also movements to end all the other forms of oppression those communities were facing: poverty, racism, exploitation, redlining, gentrification. Those on the front lines were recognizing something that the environmental movement wasn't. And that's that the problem isn't climate change. Climate change is just a symptom of a broader underlying cause. And that cause is this extractive economy that we live in. It's the kind of capitalist profit over everything system that we have that not only extracts our natural resources, that's the cause of climate change, but also exploits people. Poverty, imperialism, colonialism, houselessness, wealth inequality, the list goes on. And so by recognizing that it is the broader system that needs addressing, we move from environmental organization to climate justice organization.